What is going on, guys? Judo Sloth here, and welcome to today's Clash of Clans video. We have a live war attack for you guys. We are traveling at the moment, so hence the backdrop is different. We can tell you a little bit about that very soon, but if you're new here to the channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my content. Now, I literally just did this war attack, plugged everything in and wanted to test it out, basically ensure my setup was working, and it was a 3-star attack. Everything went to plan, so I thought, why don't we record over the top of it, tell you guys how it went, and then we will get out into multiplayer and I'll teach you a little bit more about the PEKKA BoBat. Now, the main thing I saw about this base is there's only one multi-inferno down to the south. Over to the left of the base, there are 2 wizard towers. However, if I were to track my wrecker in from the south of the base through that multi-inferno, that would allow me to come straight up to the town hall, and I could use the bats over to the left-hand side. So let's see exactly how it went down. So initially you've got to try and set up your funnel. I used 1 PEKKA, but to the south of the elixir collector, so that it also came down and into my army composition. I can then use the king on the outside. You do not want the king going into the base because he will steal healers, and you want the healers onto the PEKKA. The healers do a greater healing effect onto troops than heroes, so that is the reason. You can see that slightly over to the left we used a PEKKA to create the funnel there as well, and everything is now moving into the base. We can sacrifice the king on the outside. He can take out all of that trash. There are a couple of defenses on the outside as well, and although we lose a few bowlers, it's not the end of the world. We do have the PEKKA in there. We've got the healers there. I was a little bit worried about black bombs down in this area because the air defense were nowhere near here, and since there was a sweeper to the south, it kind of made sense for the defender to have one there. But we've got to the stage now where we can send the bats in. Tried to get it so that we could get the single target inferno and time it correctly onto the wizard tower. I was just a fraction too slow there across to the left. The wizard tower got 1 shot onto the bats. You don't obviously want it to get any, and I believe I'm a little bit slow on this one as well. Look, bit out of practice with the PEKKA BoBat. We will try and fix that in multiplayer because we'll be getting into some live attacks, but since this one went so well, I figured I would bring it to you. So although the bats went down to the left hand side, they cleared that section, and it meant that the PEKKA coming through the base can just exit right up to the north, finish out the defenses, and all in all, a very comfortable 3-star attack. The queen very sensibly jumps over the jump spell through to the air defense and then actually goes back through that as well instead of beating a wall. It's very rare that the queen does that, isn't it, guys? But let me know down in the comments your latest 3-star attack in war. What was it? I might try it in the next video for you guys, but let's get out there and let's do some live PEKKA BoBat attacks. Alright guys, we are ready to go. We actually had a queen charge into Hog Rider cooked up, so why don't we do an attack with that first, and then this is the army I like to use. 6 PEKKA, I use them to funnel, and obviously you want majority of them into the base. You just seen it in war with a couple of tweaks in order to make it work against that specific base. I do tend to take 2 rage spells, but let's get out there and let's find ourselves a base to attack. Now, since I've been incredibly busy the last week or 2 now, actually, guys, we fell right out of Legends League, so we are in Titan 1, but let's come back when we have a base worthy of attacking. Okay, so the first base we come across is 23 trophies. Not too bad, especially if we are going to push back up towards Legends League, and it is not a maxed base. You can see that the queen is level 50, the king level 45, so hopefully this should help out. You guys know, if you haven't seen the queen charge into Hogs, I link an interview I did at the end of this one, but you want to go for the eagle first. So let's try and do that. Let's use the king down down the side of the base in order to funnel. It is going to be a little bit tricky with the P.E.K.K.A not sending that into the base, but let's see what we can do. Once the king, yeah, he's going to come into the base as well, so never mind. Let's just go with the wrecker here. We might as well send the P.E.K.K.A, send them all in for good measure, and I do like to send just a couple of loons in initially, just before I put the healers on the queen, and I'm delaying the deployment of the healers here purely because I don't want them going on to the king or the P.E.K.K.A. I'm going to use my king's ability right now just to try and drive him forward, but I do want the queen into the base. So as soon as she's drawing fire, potentially from the Grand Warden statue, I'm actually going to put a couple of Hog Riders in. Queen now starts to take some damage. There we can use a couple of Hog Riders to help, and now I'm going to use the healers because the king is about to go down. As soon as the healers get over to the queen, they will be timed perfectly. Hog Riders take that cannon, which helps with cleanup. Let's actually get a wizard onto the army camp, and then we will probably send the Hog Riders in from the south here, away from the queen. Let's go ahead and do that now because we've got nothing to worry about. Queen is doing okay, but let's get another rage in there to help her out. Actually going to press that ability because it got incredibly tight. Let's go with a heal spell just to help the Hog Riders through. We can go with a few more wizards here, all looking good at this point. Queen needs to get through to the town hall though, and we need that ability for the Hog Riders. So actually let's use a rage, let's use the Grand Warden's ability, let's freeze this area as well. Probably a late freeze, to be honest. We might have lost too many hogs through that. Queen now doesn't have a ability, and we can use the miner at the top here to try and distract one of the wizard towers, which it's doing nicely, and then we will lead the heal in. I think that's gone pretty well. They have left an archer tower here as well, but the queen should get that. We can use the poison onto the troops that are going to be affecting the healers, and we can start with the cleanup portion. So that looks pretty good, guys. We do have the archer tower at the bottom, but it's going to be a clear 3-star attack. So trying to, if you can't quite use your king or P.E.K.K.A in order to create that funnel and they're going to go into the base, ensure you are waiting with the healers so that they don't get stuck onto the king or the P.E.K.K.A. You want them on the queen. I feel that was a good example. I know it wasn't a maxed out base, but a good example of the queen charge into hogs. I will link at the end of this video an interview we did with Itsu where he broke this strategy down, but let's do the P.E.K.K.A BoBat just like the war attack you've seen in order to show you exactly how to use it. So for the P.E.K.K.A BoBat, this is the army composition I tend to use. Obviously, as you've seen in the war attack, it can be different depending on the base. For that one, I felt like we needed 3 freeze spells, so I dropped out the rage, and I also took an extra bat spell. I do tend to take 2 rage spells, just because when you are pushing in with your kill squad, that's what you want to take out the base, really. The bats are just to finish off at the end, so I tend to take the 2 rage in order to help out with that. I'll try and give you as many tips and tricks as I can in this attack. All depends on the base we come up against, guys. Like I said, we are in Titan League, so sometimes the clouds can be a little bit annoying. So let's come back when we have a base to attack. This one does not offer the greatest amount of trophies, but we've been searching for a little while, and at least it has a decent amount of loot. There is a hole in the base, which is a little bit strange, but like we said, try and come in from the splash damage. So let's take a look at this. We have a single target Inferno. That is pretty cool, mind. If you can hide your Inferno tower via your clan name, have you guys ever seen that before? Because I haven't. Maybe that's a visual glitch, but anyway, that's a single. We've got a multi at the other side and a multi here. Notice the wizard tower upgrading at the other side as well. So clearly you're pushing in from this side of the base. Probably want to use my king to create a funnel here. He can use the ability to take out the queen as well. There he goes. Let's use that ability. Let's take out that queen and then let's make a push into the base. So I'm actually going to sacrifice 1 P.E.K.K.A down the bottom there in order to help create that funnel. Then let's push in with a couple of them from the top here, we will use the bowlers as well, just a couple onto that archer tower in order to take that down, hopefully help the rest of my bowlers into the base here, but they might walk just a little bit. Let's get the queen and the grand warden in as well. They should redirect. There they go. Again, we lose one or two, but not the end of the world. Going to use a rage spell to power them forward. King nicely used on that funnel. Again, don't use your king in the base. Pekkas and bowlers started to walk there. Let's go put a jump spell in as well, followed by a rage, and the Grand Warden's ability will be used. As soon as that Town Hall goes down, let's use that ability. Once the Giga and we get towards the multi is distracted, we can then start with the bats in. Now look, you don't want to put the bats in when there is a chance that the multi-inferno might lock onto them. We don't even have to worry about the freeze spells at the moment. Start with my cleanup straight away. We might as well. We can actually get an archer up the top there as well, and I'm keeping an eye on this wizard tower, but it is distracted from the Pekka. I am going to actually, let's just freeze the archer towers. This base is crushed, guys. We've still got the queen's ability. I know it wasn't maxed out, but that's how you break down the base. That is where you want to be looking at the entry point, how you want to create that funnel. How can you best protect your Pekka? Obviously, I used the king in order to take out the queen, because had I have not done that, then the queen would have basically took out one of my Pekka. How do you create the funnel to get the most of your troops into the center and ensure that the splash is down or distracted before you start the bats? So it was very important I waited until the multi-inferno was distracted. That is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you want to see the queen charge into Hog Riders broken down a little bit more, we did only do the one attack of it, I'd check out this video where I interviewed Itsu, the #1 player. Go ahead and check that one out. It will help you with the queen charge hogs. But that wraps it up for this one. Until next time, guys, peace out.